Okay, let's unpack this. Last time we left Eugene in a really, really tough spot.
Yeah, absolutely desperate, robbed, thrown off a moving
Right
train.
into Shreveport, Louisiana. No money, exhausted, totally alone before dawn.
A stark and sudden turn, wasn't it? After days of just constant travel, his biggest need was just rest. Somewhere, anywhere, safe to sleep.
Exactly. And that search, well, it leads him to a quiet spot. But maybe not the safest, the back seat of an old, abandoned car on a used car lot.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're continuing our journey through Eugene McMillan's autobiography, Vagabond on Victory Road. And this is actually, believe it or not, the 10th part of our deep dive following Eugene's story. What happens next is another big detour.
It really shows you just how unpredictable that road was for him. Today we're diving into Chapter 10, and it's got a pretty blunt title. In a Shreveport jail.
So picture this. Eugene is just completely wiped out, finds his car, and boom, deep sleep in the back seat.
Yeah. Utterly spent, physically, emotionally, after the robbery, getting chucked off the train, sleep would hit him like a ton of bricks.
But yeah, that sleep doesn't last long. And it's definitely not peaceful. The source says he's woken up really abruptly
How?
by a policeman rapping his stick sharp taps right on the soles of Eugene's shoes. Apparently, Eugene snores really loudly when he's exhausted, and that's what gave him away.
Ah, the snoring. So that's what gets the officer's attention, and the cop immediately wants to know, what's he doing there?
Right. And Eugene explains everything. He's cold, tired, nowhere else to go, just trying to rest on his way home to North Carolina. And crucially, he tells him, look, I was just robbed less than 2 hours ago on the L&A freight train.
He mentions the watch.
Yep. Lost his expensive Hamilton watch, got forced off the train. He lays it all out.
And the officer's reaction, is he helpful?
Not exactly sympathetic, no. The book describes him asking kind of dejectedly who did it, and then more irritably, what did the bums look like?
So, right away, skepticism. He doesn't really believe him.
Seems like it. Eugene gives the description, tall guy, shorter, younger guy, both dressed shabbily. He repeats, they didn't get any money, just the watch, and they forced me off.
And the officer.
Just dismissive, almost indifferent. Basically says, you can tell that to the chief when we reach the station. So in minutes, he goes from being a victim needing help to, what, a suspected vagrant?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's put in a police car, feeling weak and sick, the source says, and taken straight to the station to face the night chief of police.
And that encounter sounds even worse.
Oh, it is more aggressive than the first officer. The chief is immediately confrontational, just bellowing questions at him. What's your name? Where are you from?
But when Eugene tells him.
The chief just goes on the attack, accuses him of lying, asks if he's been in jail before.
Wow.
Yeah, and even gets physical, rakes a hand down Eugene's face, demands to be called sir. It's just pure intimidation and asserting authority.
That's rough.
Right.
How does Eugene handle that?
He notes he just has to swallow his resentment. What else can he do? But then something really interesting happens during the search, when they empty his pockets.
Yeah, this is a small moment, but it feels important, doesn't it?
Totally. A younger officer is doing the search, and he finds two things that seem really out of place there. Eugene's small testament, his New Testament, and this sort of crude diary or notebook he kept.
What was in the notebook?
Scripture verses and praises he'd written down, kind of a personal devotional journal.
And the young officer points these out.
He does. Shows them to the chief and actually suggests Eugenia ain't gonna hurt nothing. Maybe they should just let him go. A small intervention, but it has an effect.
It changes the chief's attitude for a second.
Yeah, just for a moment.
Yeah.
The source says his tone suddenly becomes, surprisingly peaceful, unhurried. He asks Eugene, will you go straight home if we release you?
Oh, wow. A glimmer of hope.
Eugene jumps at it, happily agrees. Of course he will.
But it doesn't stick. Nope. False dawn. Just as fast as that calmness came, the chief flips right back, roaring, storming, barking orders to throw Eugene in the can.
And the robbery. Does that ever come up again?
Never mentioned again. Eugene figures none of them actually believed his story about being robbed in the first place.
So, from maybe getting released to jail, he's escorted up to the third floor.
And the description is so vivid, you hear the keys jangling, the heavy steel door slamming shut.
And the other prisoners are already jeering at him as he comes into the bullpen.
Yeah, it just adds to that sick feeling he has and engulfs him, he says, in this awful loneliness. It's a complete, cruel turnaround. He went from victim to witness to inmate.
And the jail itself. Not exactly a five-star hotel.
Definitely not. The bullpen's described as really warm, very little fresh air, super stuffy. It actually makes him feel sleepy again, despite everything.
So he tries to sleep. Where?
On this steel-eating shelf that's fastened to the wall, like a ledge.
Doesn't sound very secure. No. Other inmates even warn him, hey, you might fall off that thing. But he's just so exhausted the risk doesn't register. He crashes again.
Only to get woken up again. This can't be restful.
Not at all. This time it's the creaking sound of the main prison door opening and someone shouting his name. He's being called out.
For what? It's still the middle of the night, basically.
For a lineup. Right then and there. They bring him out, and standing there are several officers, some plainclothes guys, and get this. The two bedraggled bums.
The guys who robbed him, they caught them.
Apparently so. An officer asks him, have you seen these men before? Eugene recognizes the taller one immediately and confirms, yeah, those are the guys who robbed me.
Huh.
Then they ask him to describe the stolen watch.
Is Hamilton.
Right, and he describes it perfectly. So, well, maybe specific details about it that the officers all agree, yep, that's his watch, these are the guys. His story is finally, officially confirmed.
Okay, so now they let him go. Right. He's the victim. He helped identify the criminals. Case closed for him. A plainclothesman even says, that's all we wanted to know.
That's what you'd think. That's exactly what Eugene expected. But no. Incredibly, they just turn away. The jailer slams the door right in his face, sending him back into the bullpen.
What? That makes no sense. That's incredibly frustrating.
He is furious and totally confused. He's thinking, why didn't they let me out if that was all they wanted to know? He feels completely railroaded, unjustly locked up, even after helping them.
I would be livid. What does he do with all that anger and injustice?
Well, this is a key moment for him, spiritually. He realizes there's absolutely nothing he can physically do right then to change things. He can't argue his way out.
Right, he's powerless externally.
Exactly. But he realizes he can pray. And he makes a conscious choice to place the whole mess confidently in God's hands. It's a real shift from focusing on the external problem he can't fix to finding some kind of internal peace or control through his faith.
So after that absolutely wild night and morning, what's the first full day actually like inside this Shreveport jail?
It kicks off with a really strange morning ritual. All the cell doors open electrically, and all prisoners in his block, about 24 guys, are released into the main bullpen area.
And then they have a, what was it, a knockdown, drag-out kangaroo court.
Yeah, sounds chaotic, right? It's basically unofficial jailhouse justice, run entirely by the inmates. A voice just announces, "Court's in session, line up."
So who's in charge of this court?
Eugene learns the structure quick. There's a judge, that's the guy who's been in the longest, a prosecuting attorney, second longest term, and a sheriff, third longest. Everyone else is the jury.
And guess who's first up?
The new guy, of course, Eugene. The judge reads out the charge, all serious like, "You are charged with breaking and entering this jail without the consent of the inmate."
Chuckles, that's absurd.
Totally absurd, and the other prisoners think it's hilarious. They're all laughing at how bewildered Eugene looks. It kind of mirrors the absurdity of why he's really there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So how does he plead to this ridiculous charge?
They ask, guilty or not guilty? He forces a smile, even though he hates this whole mocking monkey business, and just says, guilty, the fine, $1.
Which he definitely doesn't have. He just got robbed.
Exactly. He tells them, I have no money. So the prosecuting attorney orders the sheriff to search him. Again, this is like the third search in maybe 6 hours.
Are the others still making fun of him?
They are, at first. But then something happens that just changes the whole mood.
What's that?
For the third time, the sheriff pulls out Eugene's little testament from his pocket. But this time, he doesn't just stuff it back. He actually holds it, looks at it for a serious moment, like he's really studying it before putting it back.
That little book again. It keeps having these unexpected effects.
It really does. The source says after the sheriff pauses with the testament, he barely even bothers finishing the search. And more than that, the other prisoners, the ones who are just laughing, they get quiet, somber. Yeah, it's like that symbol, that book, just cut right through all the jailhouse cynicism. It totally shifted the dynamic in the room.
That's fascinating. So what happens with the sentence? The fine he can't pay?
Right, since he has no money, he's sentenced to 1 week of hard labor. But the judge, who also seems affected by the mood change, delivers the sentence kind of matter-of-factly, no real bite to it.
And how does this whole weird trial affect how the other inmates see Eugene?
It completely changes things. From that moment, the source says, Eugene becomes a highly respected fellow prisoner.
Really?
Yeah. And even though he got sentenced to hard labor, which meant cleaning disgusting toilets, the other guys actually tell him, nah, don't worry about it, you don't have to do that. They basically give him an unofficial acquittal.
That's surprisingly kind. Respect earned in a very strange way.
It is. And that court treasury, the money they collect in fines, they use it to buy stuff for everyone: sugar, cream for the coffee, newspapers, matches, tobacco. And since Eugene doesn't smoke, the judge actually buys him a candy bar with some of the money.
Small gestures, but they say a lot about the weird mix of toughness and humanity, maybe. Right?
Exactly. It's a complex environment.
So beyond the mock court, what was the day-to-day grind like? The meals sound pretty grim.
Oh, they were rough. Breakfast at 8, then the main meal, dinner, or supper at 2 p.m. And that was it.
What do they get?
Always the same. Grayish-looking rice, some thin gravy made from fatback, and plain light bread. That's all the food until breakfast the next morning. Eugene says they were half-starved by then.
Any drinks?
Sometimes coffee, but black. No sugar, no cream, and no cups. They had to pass around old beer cans they'd found to share it.
Ugh. And he described the rush for food,
Mm.
like pigs at a trough.
Yeah, hungry pigs running for a trough of slop. It paints a really desperate picture, doesn't it? How hunger can reduce people.
Definitely. But even then, he still prayed.
He did. He notes he always remembered to give thanks before eating, even that awful food. It was about practicing contentment, finding that spiritual discipline, even when things were terrible.
And no forks or spoons either.
Nope. Too dangerous, potential weapons. So you ate with your fingers, or you got creative. Made little stoops out of bits of tin, wood, cardboard, whatever you could find. Another prisoner actually gave Eugene the bottom of an old Prince Albert tobacco can to use.
Man. So through all this, he's also just struggling with being locked up, right? He's used to freedom.
Deeply. He feels really irked, he says, by being confined. Hates the drab, stinking jail, the dirty windows. He misses the open spaces. But then he catches himself.
How so?
He recognizes that feeling the impatience, the bitterness, isn't how he believes a child of God should react. So he actively prays for forgiveness for those feelings, asks for help to stay patient and cheerful. He feels he needs to maintain that attitude for his own faith and, for any chance to be a witness to others.
So he's trying to manage his internal state, find purpose even in this awful place, but he still doesn't officially know why he's being held.
Not for the first couple of days, no. The reason only becomes clear on day 2 or 3 when they get a newspaper bought with that kangaroo court money.
And it's in the paper.
Yeah. He reads that he's being held as a material witness for the state of Louisiana. They need his testimony to convict the guys who robbed him. The source adds, kind of pointedly, that he should have been getting paid witness fees for this, but he wasn't.
Okay, so that adds another layer of unfairness. Victim, held against his will, and not even compensated as a required witness.
Right. And he tries to get word out, writes little notes, tries to give them to prisoners being released.
Does it work?
No. The officers search everyone leaving, confiscate any messages. It just reinforces how isolated he is, how little control he has over getting out.
And that isolation, that powerlessness, it pushes him back towards his faith again.
Completely. He writes that it really forced him to rely totally on God as his only hope, because there was literally no one else, no other way out he could see. And he feels this growing assurance that God is looking out for him, even in there.
Let's talk about some of the specific people he met inside. These interactions are really something. There was that strange, sad older man.
Yes, the one with the cold gray eyes and the, frozen faith, a really hardened character. And he immediately challenges Eugene about his faith, calls the Bible useless junk,
How does Eugene respond?
strongly defends it, says the Bible's been the source of countless blessings for him. And the man, despite his cynicism, seems to kind of recognize, there's something powerful about that book.
And he gives Eugene this intense hypothetical test, right?
Right.
About being burned alive.
Yeah, asks him straight up, would you give up reading that Bible if they threatened to burn you alive?
Intense. And Eugene's answer.
Immediate, firm, no, I would never give it up. Never deny my faith.
What does the man say to that? It's surprising.
It really is. He just says, flatly, you are right, son. Just keep on going as you are. You'll be okay. But the source emphasizes his face doesn't change. It's like he knows Eugene's right on some level, but it can't touch him, can't change him.
Does Eugene try to talk to him more about, salvation?
He does, but the man just shuts him down, says, it's no use. Nothing can help me. I have lost the desire. Eugene feels burdened by it, finds it hard to even pray for him. This guy boasts about being an infidel, But Eugene senses he's still afraid of Judgment Day.
A real picture of internal conflict. But didn't he ask for prayer for someone else?
Yeah, that's another twist. One night, this same cynical man asks Eugene, "Pray for my mother." Eugene has really touched this request from someone claiming no faith. He prays for her, wondering what her story is. Another little crack in that hard shell.
But it didn't open the door for the man himself.
Sadly, no. The next morning, he's back to refusing any talk about religion, even gets kind of petulant about it. And Eugene reflects on this. He feels this man might be the only person he's ever met who seemed to have, in his words, crossed the divine deadline.
Cross the divine deadline. That's a really heavy phrase Eugene uses, referencing Genesis. What's he getting at there?
Well, from Eugene's viewpoint in the book, it seems to mean reaching a state where you've rejected God's prompting, the Holy Spirit, so consistently, so firmly, that you kind of lose the ability or even the desire to repent or change, like the door is closed from the inside. It's a really tragic state in his understanding.
Okay, shifting gears to a totally different character, the red-headed sheriff from the Kangaroo Court.
Right. Described as tough, quick temper, definitely someone you wouldn't mess with, but also paradoxically having a heart of gold, kinder than most in there. He was doing 90 days for being drunk, disorderly resisting arrest.
And we see his tough side in that fight he had.
Yeah, the source mentions him getting into it with another drunk prisoner who was making noise at night. A fierce but quick fight broken up by the guards shows he could handle himself.
But then this guy asks Eugene to do something totally unexpected.
Completely out of left field, he asks Eugene to give a sermon from his testament, to hold like a religious service right there in the jail bullpen.
Wow. And Eugene agrees.
He does. Says he's no preacher, but he agrees. So after breakfast one day, they do it. The prisoners gather around, looking kind of somber, curious. And the sheriff? He makes sure everyone's quiet and orderly.
They sang first.
Yeah, Eugene suggests a song they might know, and they end up singing When the Roll is Called Up Yonder.
The irony. Singing about Judgment Day in jail.
Eugene notes that irony himself, but he's also touched that they're singing, hoping maybe some of it is sincere. Then they have a prayer.
What does Eugene preach about?
He reads the story of Zacchaeus from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 19, the tax collector who climbs the tree to see Jesus. And he speaks for maybe 10 minutes.
Does it connect with anyone?
Definitely with one person. A young, dark-skinned guy described as Mexican Indian is just weeping during the service. Yeah. He comes up to Eugene afterward, says he wishes he'd listened to his father, got into trouble after taking a job with a beer company. He wants to change, asks Eugene to pray for him. And later, that young man actually gets bailed out. Maybe a sign of a new beginning for him. A direct result of that impromptu service.
That's incredible. Any other connections like that?
There's another one, a muscular young fellow. Kind of shy. He starts calling Eugene preacher.
What does he want?
He asks Eugene to read to him from his book, The Testament. Says he's never heard those words before.
Well, why hasn't he?
Turns out, he can't read. He's described as French Creole, from a poor slum background. So Eugene reads passages to him. The young man was really moved by the service earlier. Just shows the power of hearing the words, even if you can't read them yourself.
And one more character stands out, Barefoot Blackie.
Yeah, described as a really pitiful case, a tramp arrested for vagrancy, suffering from some foul disease, and he had a terrible foot injury heel crushed by a train. And the source notes, despite the name, he wasn't actually black.
Was he open to Eugene's message?
Very much so. A willing, even hungry listener, Eugene says. Eugene explains the gospel, the path to salvation from his testament. They pray together right there, and the man accepts Christ. Eugene describes seeing this manifest joy in him and feeling immense joy himself. A real moment of light finding someone in deep darkness.
So yeah, despite being locked up unfairly in horrible conditions, Eugene is finding these pockets of real connection, having a genuine spiritual impact.
He really is living out that prayer he made, staying patient, staying cheerful for his faith's sake, and finding purpose right where he was planted, however unwillingly.
So almost a week goes by. Other prisoners are telling him, you're stuck here till the spring court term.
Right, they're probably resigned to how the system works, but Eugene's having none of it. His confidence is solid. He tells them flat out, I'll be home before Christmas.
And his certainty isn't based on legal knowledge.
Not at all. It's pure faith. He quotes Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." He's trusting God's timing completely.
And he keeps sharing his faith.
Yeah, quietly witnessing, not forcing it. Says it was a blessing to his own heart, too. And then finally, after 9 days total in that Shreveport jail, his release day comes.
How the other inmates react?
It's actually described as a really touching farewell. Guys gather around to shake his hand, that tough sheriff. He's choked up saying goodbye. The judge from the kangaroo court has tears in his eyes. Others are emotional too. Real bonds were formed in that short, intense time.
Then an officer comes for him.
Yes, takes him out, confirms his record is clear. He was held only as a material witness for the state. That's it.
Does Eugene ask about the robbers?
He does. Wants to know what happened to them. The officer says they confessed to everything, got 10 years each. Highway robbery and attempted murder.
10 years. How does Eugene react to that?
With sympathy, actually. He expresses sympathy for them getting such long sentences.
Really? After what they did to him?
Yeah. And the officer is apparently disgusted by Eugene's reaction, says they deserve 20 years. It really highlights Eugene's perspective, maybe forgiveness, or just a different view on justice compared to the officers.
And he gets his watch back.
He does. His Hamilton watches return, a tangible piece of the ordeal resolved.
And then freedom.
Let outside, breathes that fresh air, feels immense gratitude, joy, experiences what he calls a peace that passeth understanding, connects it right back to his faith and release.
So, after all that, the shock of the arrest, the injustice, the bizarre court, the grim conditions, but also those unexpected moments of connection, Eugene reflects on what he actually learned from those 9 days.
Yeah, he boils it down to 4 main lessons, basically.
Okay, what are they?
First, just how dark and sinful the human heart can be. He saw it raw in there.
Makes sense.
Second, the tragedy of people who seem to reject God, reject grace, until they reach that point he called the divine deadline, where the spirit maybe stops striving with them. That really affected him. Third, he saw this universal hunger deep down in almost everyone for pardon, for peace, for security, even behind the tough exteriors.
That came through in some of the stories.
Definitely. And finally, he was struck by the incredible power, the positive effect that God's word, just reading it, sharing it, could have on people, no matter how bad their situation was, how low they'd sunk.
Those are some pretty profound takeaways from a really, really rough 9 days. He found a lot of meaning, a lot of purpose, stuck in that awful place.
It's a powerful chapter in his journey, for sure. Shows amazing resilience and finding agency, finding ways to act purposefully, even when he had almost no external control.
So yeah, just 9 days. But that unexpected detour through the Shreveport jail, it revealed this whole hidden world, tough guys, surprising vulnerability, unexpected kindness, and the quiet power of just being a witness with that little book. What really stands out to you about this part of Eugene's story? I mean, think about it going from victim to witness to inmate, navigating both the official injustice and that inmate culture, all while holding on to his faith. Does it make you think about finding light or purpose in maybe difficult spots in your own life?
It definitely makes you think, yeah, how much our internal state and our potential for impact aren't solely dictated by what's happening to us on the outside.
Absolutely. Well, Eugene is free again, watch back in hand. But that long trek home to North Carolina, still a ways to go. We'll pick up with him next time, see where the road takes him next in Vagabond on Victory Road.
Yeah, and maybe leave you with this thought. Eugene was held against his will. Unpleasant place, totally unjust situation, all because a crime was committed against him. Powerless, right? Yet inside that constraint, inside that frustration, he found these opportunities, connection, impact, spiritual growth that he just wouldn't have had otherwise. So how often, maybe in our own lives, when we feel constrained or frustrated or powerless, might there be hidden opportunities for growth or connection or maybe making a difference that we miss because we're just so focused on the unfairness or the limitation itself? Something to mull over.